एकछिन मेरो आमाले फोन गर्यो एकछिन चुप बस्लास् हजुर के भयो मम्मी ओए सुमित त चुरोट दे त यार तन्काउनु पर्यो
घरमा वा
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Spill the Drinks podcast, where we spill our useless opinions. Every opinions featured in this podcast are made by imbeciles, so don't get buttered. Don't even take this with a grain of sand. It's me, Sumyeet. I'm the retard who thinks you're on the podcast while I just talk.
I'm full emo, your producer, manager, and I'm the retard that thought that we could put this together.
So I'm Mr. Guacamole. I'm the guy who's behind the artwork, behind the sounds, behind the scenes guy. So Spiller is a 100% grassroots podcast, and we all combined to make this podcast a success.
I'm Mom Digger, and I'm the one that's behind everyone else's mom.
P.dawg gave birth to all these imbeciles.
Okay, we're done with that. I'll let Emo 904. I'll let him explain what this is actually about.
So, like full disclosure, we are like friends in school, and we made this podcast because like the podcast scene in Nepal केही छैन कि खाली छ के अनि त्यो तपाईहरुले भनिरा होला तर honest podcast is a real podcast. Fuck no, that's not a podcast, guys. That's like a video, okay? We stick to the definition of what a podcast actually is. Only we want to provide like chances to Nepalese organizations, to Nepalese brands, to Nepalese influencers, just like आफ्नो फ्यान्सहरुसँग अलिकति more intimate relation हुन मन लाग्छ. There we provide that. The fact of the matter is, this is not a visual podcast, if that's even a thing. We stick to the definition of podcast only. This is like the best podcast you can listen to. You can put on the background. So it's just gonna be like 20 minutes of your day, Only if that allows other creators to connect with their audience more, we are proud to do that. So do you guys want to talk about how we came about this podcast, how we got to making the podcast? So your podcast बनाउने idea चाहिँ कसको थियो? Like मलाई त पछि नै भनेको थियो जस्तो लाग्यो हैन. So कसको idea थियो podcast को?
Probably P.dawg or Guacamole.
It's P.dawg. He was the man behind the idea.
त्यो आइडिया कसले आएको भने यतिकै बसेको थिएँ है. I listened to some podcast retarded some podcast really be to provide friendly shit we come up with the idea of making a podcast with friends who talk about nothing more than just shit they love to do. So that's the idea behind this podcast.
We didn't just start this podcast on a whim, like as mentioned by our host. So I'll just guide you through the steps that we actually did to make it more transparent. So I think the first thing that we did was obviously open a YouTube channel, but we didn't do anything in that. So I just quickly like whipped up a logo for it. I just made combined two clip arts and then made a logo for it, and I think Restopesto came up with the name Spill the Drinks. On this was I was like beginning month there was no path that we were actually trying to follow, and we were just going along. But then I was like, no, if you're gonna make this into an actual thing, हामीले चाहिँ अलिकति organize गर्न पर्यो भनेर हैन. पहिला I told everyone to first start an Instagram page, and then I guess now I'll start contacting guests and sending them invites, I think. And we'll be moving along from there.
Yeah, the people who followed on Instagram, we're sorry. It was supposed to go up last week, but last week's was shit. This might be shit too, but a bit less stinky of a shit. So first we would like to give you a glimpse into our the members of this podcast. So we're going to tell you how we met, I guess. We're friends in the same high school. We already told you that. So I was a new guy at class 8, and I was friends with...
Let me start this. Let me start the story from the way beginning, alright? So me and Sumyeet used to be neighbors, But
Shit.
but we never met each other because we never came out of our houses. So I
But you're
moved.
into what talks?
Yeah, we were
No,
super introverts. So we like I think I lived in that house for like 7 years, I know. But I didn't know that Sumit ever existed, I know. So so then I know when I was living in that house, I knew Abhishek as the massive Goosebumps nerd, I know.
ए दाइ
ए goosebumps class 5 people.
Abhishek
एकदम
त्यस्तो मान्छे
गुजबम
थियो
पढ्थिस् के मलाई
चुप चुप
नआयो
चुप अभिषेक त्यस्तो मान्छे थियो होइन त्यो गुजबम्सलाई हुन्छ नि यस्तो कम्पेयर गुजबम्स टु स्टेफेन किङ होइन
bro,
उसको लाइक गुजबम्स वाज लाइक द पिनिकल अफ राइटिङ त्यस्तो थियो होइन अब फास्ट फरवर्ड लाइक 3 years होला होइन आई मेट उत्सव होइन उत्सव वाज लाइक म्यासिभ लोगन पल फ्यान होइन
bro.
Nice.
Everyone used to
So, I legit didn't know that. You fucking
Everyone used to be a Logan
Dude.
Paul fan back then.
That was
to his
you were
ben
fucking Jake Pauler then.
to his benefit होइन
We actually had the Jake Paul versus Logan Paul
yeah to his benefit होइन
gangs.
to his benefit, I know he was not the only one, I know, and I think I've been pretty public about it. I know when I was in 7th grade, and I used to be the biggest Jake Pauler and Logan Pauler, I know, Logang or something.
Everyone used to be that, right? Logang.
I didn't. I used to watch Matthew Santor top 10 videos and his vlogs. Bro, his
Nerd.
bald head was appealing. His bald head was appealing. That's all I noticed.
Nerd.
Says the person that is Goosebumps.
You were the one who gave me the book. You were the one who gave me the Goosebumps book in the winter.
yeah, whatever.
I don't think I ever got the goosebumps yet.
So so that year, I know. Okay, so that year, I know, I'd call it the summer of Jake Paul, I know. I got rejected, I know, by following, and because of that, I went into let's say semi-depression, I know. Only Restopesto was there to help me by recommending
Never
like
been rejected gang.
yes, rejected gang, I know. So basically, Restopesto rescued me, I know, by giving me like the 2 most shittiest anime recommendations, I know. And even though those 2 anime were like the shittiest anime, I know, I got into anime for some reason, I know, and that's how I know Restopesto.
And that's how he became a weeb.
And yeah, and I stopped watching Jake Paul. I think everyone stopped everyone just grew out of it all, I know. So next year, I know, we're in class 8, I know. I'm like that classic wannabe anime main character, and I sit next to the window and stuff, I know. Don't talk to anyone, I know. And basically, I literally, since our class got separated, I legit had no friends, I know. In my class, at least for the entire year, I know. So I just started hanging out with Pasang and Mr. Guacamole. And while I guess Sumit and Utsav should elaborate on how they met each other, I guess.
Okay, I think the first people I knew out of here was probably fullemo and restopesto. We were friends back in grade 7, I think. Yes, we had like close friends. I don't know what we talked about, but we had similar interests. That's how we became friends. Then I became friends with Sumit in like class 8 because that he was like my only friend back then. That I know.
Newcomer gang.
He was like a new student and he was like only person who could match my humor. Not bragging, but still, he was like a funny guy. I knew overall, so we originally became friends. Then we started hanging out together. Then I met Mr. Guacamole in like class 9. Then ever since, now we are.
Utsav was a great friend since class 8. The first thing he said to me was, I don't like you. Because I did a really lame joke. He literally said, I don't like you. And that's how we started talking. Abhishek, I don't remember. Wait. How did I talk to Abhishek? Oh yeah, I saw his skinny ass. I saw his skinny ass and I wanted to spank it all night long, man. I got a chance to see him naked.
Okay, stop.
Bro, Sumit.
My nose still bleeds. When me and Utsav lost touch after class 8, not exactly lost touch, but we didn't talk as much. And in class 9, yeah, in the first term, and after the first term, like, I don't know what happened. I was like alone, and Utsav came and he told, I just killed them. Then he made me join this cult.
Bomb blast.
Bomb blast! Oh my god!
Oh,
He made
Bomb
me join
blast
this
cult.
cult, man. Nah, these people talk about anything. It's like anime. Oh yeah, I know everything about anime. WWE. Oh my god, I used to watch that all. Yeah, these people are great.
Yeah,
So that's how we met.
Yeah. Alright.
Now let me stress on the fact that full emo at my house is
Like literally next to each other.
We can talk to each other from the windows.
Window.
Like, they're literally next to each other.
Like no, if we like talk loud enough, we could hear each other through the walls. Okay, it's like that.
It's not that I was an introvert. I don't give a shit about neighbors. But yeah, it's literally next to me.
I just didn't go out. We just didn't go out of our house, you know. And the funny thing is, not even ironically, like I got to know about Sumit because like I knew Sumit's mom, her name at least, So my mom was like,
everyone knows Sumit's mom.
so my mom was like, सुमित्राको छोरा पनि सेन्ट जेभियर्समा एडमिट भएछ तिमीलाई थाहा छ हैन अनि I was like को होला हैन and by that point I think I had already started talking to Sumit like a little bit हैन I was like हो र नाम के हो हैन and she was like Sumit हैन I was like what अनि त्यसको माथि when we actually like talked I found out that me and Sumit we had like so much in common like I don't know how we didn't know each other पहिला के
Crazy how we got together in like 1
That's
year.
how I met your mother.
Let's talk about something that's like really weird. Okay, have you been seeing Indian news recently?
That's what I was saying. People use ananas.
So basically, for some reason, Indian news are like mocking KP Oli, our like prime minister. Our prime minister like pura uraira sa Indian news.
Mom Digger might
they do
have some
have a
good
right
views.
to mock our prime minister because since he's China. Like, don't get me wrong, I am as anti-India as a Nepali can get, but I don't trust China intervention in Nepalese politics.
I mean, why don't we let Mom Digger and P.dawg speak? Because like they know about China and Nepal better than anyone.
Wait,
People have opinions, and they can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
They can't do that on media. That's defamation.
That's not misuse of media. Like he's feeding wrong
Look at fucking YouTube.
That's not. No, but wait, let me speak. That's not the thing that they published. The thing that. Wait, let me speak.
What are you speaking about media?
Bro.
Talking about social
Okay,
media.
wait. A clarification, Clarification, News. When you talk about media, especially news, it's not opinionated. It should not be opinionated,
Exactly.
So you're talking about
clearly, Indian news, if you have ever watched Indian news, it's so fucking opinionated. It's like as opinionated
like
it can
no
be.
media is not fully biased. It's just accept that.
Yes.
No form of like news, anything is not like fully non-biased, no matter how much
But
they say.
this one was
Everything is
fully
given by
biased.
everything.
Except for
like, of course, Indian media will be biased towards their country.
Of
I
course,
mean,
like every
it
media is biased, but I think what we should really trust is like the local news because they have like the purest form of journalism. And I'm not talking about like TV news. Okay? It's like print media, like newspapers, local newspapers. Because every single media outlet, they always like cite newspapers. Okay? Like according to this newspaper, this is the reporting, and we are gonna elaborate on that. Okay? So. And it's slowly dying, and that's actually really scary if you think about it.
Yeah, but think about the political situation right now. Basically, Indians are distressed because we are leading towards China. So they have the right to slander our prime minister. I have nothing against that. But regarding that opinionated news, Indian media has shown some bias and a lot of a lot of the bias, like factual errors regarding the Nepalese issue. So basically, I saw a news video. It was from some Indian channel, I don't know. Basically, the dude claimed that KP Oli is just a pawn of China and that Beijing has the power instead of Kathmandu in Nepal. So what are your thoughts about that?
Can I just point out like the social flip flop that happens? I know, like I think around 2 weeks ago, everyone, like every single Nepali, I know, every single Nepali people that go on like Instagram, Twitter, I know, like the woke Nepalis, I know, quote unquote, they were like slandering KP Oli quite ironically, I know. Now that some other people do that, I know, we are like, oh my god, you can't slander our president, okay? Like everyone's just criticizing KP Oli like 2-3 weeks ago, I know, on how he handles the COVID virus. And now that international force comes and does that, I know, we are like, oh my god, we need to be nationalist, we need to be patriotic.
It's like getting offended or being roasted by someone. Like if you're good friends and people you know do it, then you're almost fine with it and you're not even bothered with it. But when other people you don't know, other people you hate or critique, or people you are hypocrite and criticist, they mock you or make fun of you, of course you will tend to do that. So I think that's natural behavior from Nepal.
It's pretty much like any other fan base. Like, for example,
Man, that's not natural. That's basically woke, quote unquote woke Nepalis projecting about how Nepal reigns.
But that's the majority of people. It's
like our people's love towards the prime minister. It's like conditional love. When he does something like good or that should be the case. But
let's be honest. No one is a nationalist. Everyone is just
this being the president of our nation. We have to voice our opinion to what think our country should do, and I think all the people voiced our opinion. Well, I'm saying that considered. Okay, and when you think about it, because of the coronavirus, that KP Oli got slandered. It's mostly because people care their own nation, care about it very deeply. They slandered KP Oli. You to realize, there's errors. Whole another nation just slandering him because he something good for our nation and something that we already owned. Just because they could. That's really bad of them.
It's pretty much like any YouTuber's fan base. If they are made fun of in their own subreddit, it's like haha funny. But if another YouTuber subreddit makes fun of it, it's like, oh my god, why you do that? Now we wage a war. It's similar to that in my view.
Now you can't actually compare the politics of a country to a like fandom. Like, I mean that it is good in a simplistic view, but doing that would like really undermine the real causes.
It's a hyperbole, man. It's just to make the people understand.
Now, like the Indian medias have the full right to like criticize our prime minister. Like, in fact, he has been doing some shady stuff behind our backs.
Yeah, like
they said they took the thing to bed. They said in KP Oli and the Chinese person, I don't know her name. They have an anonymous video. Like, are you serious? Are they supposed to say that?
No, that's complete defamation.
But still, like, they retain the right, but like they can't make up the factual stuff. Though. Like, they can't just all out accuse the PM of like going out with the Chinese diplomat.
Thank you. That's the common ground I was looking for.
Okay.
Come on, that's pretty much common sense, man. They can't do
news
that.
needs to be fair.
On the topic of like KP Oli, Nepali politics, I want to ask Sumyeet in particular, about the Baluwatar protest. किनकि Sumyeet, like, म पनि पहिला बालवाटारमा नै बस्थेँ हैन, तर Sumyeet still lives in Baluwatar.
Baluwatar what?
Baluwatar
Protest.
So, Sumyeet, would you like to elaborate on the Baluwatar protest?
As
a person that lives in Baluwatar, tell me your experience. Did you join the protest?
Wasn't that like
I was lazy.
To keep coronavirus? What was that
PCR
about?
thing. It was about the PCR. Many people are dying. Please help us. See, it was this way. Like, everyone knew it was coming. There were police officers since the morning. It was pretty much a planned out event. It was not simultaneous. I know everyone knows that, but I just want to clarify. I mean, the whole thing could have been handled a lot better by both the parties. I don't live near to the place, but I did see people like getting ready for that. They didn't look in a peaceful way.
What do you mean you don't live near to the place? It's like a 20-minute walk.
Nah. I mean, I didn't see 500 people outside my window. Like, that was not the case, but I did see people preparing and going. They didn't seem in a way to find justice. They were like, when you make protests, it's to hold the government accountable, right? Not to like be anti-nationalist. They were literally yelling out "fuck Nepal." Like, yeah, the reasons are right, but the actions were not justified. Like, did the Germans do that? I don't know. I don't know any historical thing, but did the Germans do that when Hitler killed them? Yes, obviously. But is this Corona thing as big? Maybe not.
Yeah.
See, he's going the Trump way. Like, it's pretty obvious. He's being like, oh, it's just a virus. He's being totally nonchalant. It's not a good way to deal with it, but yeah, the public didn't deserve what happened to them, but they should have seen it coming. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it's the fault of both the sides.
I mean, I think it was like masqueraded with a good message, but people's intentions were all like wrong, and especially considering it happened like so close to the Black Lives Matter movement, I think that it was just some people that woke people, that wanted to like do the same thing, that were inspired by that, Only.
So that will be the end of this first week's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. We are still in the process of figuring things out. It will gradually increase with each upcoming podcast.
This podcast is still in its early infant stage, so yeah, if you could help us out by leaving a like or sharing it, then we would greatly appreciate that.